right, so now what we're going to talk about is our throwing progression. So this is our basic throwing progression. We do have some alternate options as we continue to grow, specifically for the older kids, of what they get to do for a throwing progression. Even more so about throwing progression is about load management. And what I mean by that is understanding the percentages that we want to throw with effort comparative to the distance that we're at. So this basic, what we're going to show here is in case you're in a garage and that's what you have available, or out in your backyard to throw, you can still use a pop-up net to still get through a simulated throwing progression. So for now, we always want to start to warm up our wrist, whether you're on your knees or you're standing on your feet, the same things apply. I'm just going to make it easier for everybody to show how we would do it off our knees. So what we want to do is, again, work off our 4-seam, 2-seam, change up with our wrist flicks. My glove hand is underneath my elbow, and all I'm going to do is keep a nice loose wrist and flick down so my fingers finish facing down. So that would be for my 4-seam, 2-seam, change up, and we'll have a file available so you guys can see how many you're supposed to do to understand what we're trying to get in there. The next one is upper body twists. Upper body twist, we want to have our glove knee up in the air so my throwing leg is down to allow for my arm swing. Same thing here, where we want to work on 4-seam, 2-seam, change-up grips through my upper body twist. The big part here is my hip to shoulder separation that we've been working on and allowing myself to follow through as my chest comes down to my knee. If you're doing this properly, as you throw and you follow through, your chest should end up now touching or getting close to touching your front leg. So to do this, you're going to stay here in a good power position, fingers facing in. We do not want to see this. This is not the correct way. We do not want fingers pointing back towards second base. That's an old theory. That is not what we're teaching. Our fingers want to be facing in, glove down, to glove up, and throw. The next progression is our pointed foot. So again, we want to have our foot slightly off from that. We do not want to be straight on, pointed forward. We want to have a slight angle, 30 degrees to our foot. And all we're doing here is a rock forward, back, throw. This is where we start to get into the progression of load management. And as I said, we have a file to help explain that. But through this, as you guys are doing this, if you're simulating with the net, you want to be roughly 10 to 15 feet back, and you want to start working on throwing with a little more effort and energy through your throws. This is another throw progression that you can use your 4-seam, 2-seam, and change up throughout this progression. The next step in our throwing progression is what we call field to throw. And how we want our players to be is we want to have the ball out in front of us, fielding. You're going to funnel and move your feet at the same time to a throw. Again, this is one that you can use in net, even better if you can go outside. This distance we want to have roughly 40 to 60 feet, depending on your age range. Again, we have that on a file, so you'll be able to catch that distance and ability of what we want you guys to throw at. The last one as we start working back, or the second to last, is what I like to call hug yourself because you love yourself. So for this drill, you're going to face your partner or your net. Ball's going to be in your hand. And all you're going to do is you're going to step forward as you continue to hug yourself, separate into your power position, turn and throw. But with this drill, we're really starting to work on generating power off of our legs. So when you see this drill, again, really focus on driving forward with your legs in your bottom half. That's going to be a simulated long toss. So the next end part of this is our long toss, where we're now roughly 100 feet to 250 feet or 300 feet, as long as the arm strength can get you there. And even if you're inside in your garage or down in your basement, you can still work on a simulated long toss. So a simulated long toss, we want to start, we want to get a good crow hop in, again, working on power off of our leg. And again, this effort's going to build as you're trying to throw longer, but just so everybody understands, you do not have to be outside 200 and 250 feet away. You can throw into a net. and use your energy to understand how much you're trying to apply on your throws.